The Cleveland Browns are going to win the Super Bowl. Or, well, at least they should. But are they going to? Probably not, because they're the Cleveland Browns. A franchise cursed to mediocrity at best for eternity. But in all seriousness, I wouldn't be surprised if the Browns go on a crazy type of run this year, if everything falls into place. Think something similar to the 2021 Rams. Now, the biggest reason as to why I'm so optimistic on the Browns is because of their roster. On paper, the Browns have a top 3 roster in the entire league. I have them pretty interchangeable with the likes of the 49ers and Eagles. They do rank among the top end of the league in just about every position. They have a top 3 pass rusher in Myles Garrett, a top 6 cornerback in Denzel Ward, a top 10 offensive line, a top 5 tight end in David Njoku, a top 15-ish wide receiving core, and a top 2 running back in Nick Chubb. And yes, I know he's coming off of a season-ending injury, but I have to give Chubb the benefit of the doubt here and for the rest of this video that he'll come back even stronger. And that's not even to mention other X factors on the team like Zadarius Smith, Joke, and Greg Newsome, who had a breakout season last year. So really, when you look at the roster, the only question mark is at the quarterback position. And unfortunately for the Browns, the NFL is a quarterback-driven league. And also unfortunately for the Cleveland Browns, their $250 million QB just hasn't been playing up to his pay grade. I know it's sad to say, but in the year of 2024, if you still think Deshaun Watson is the answer, then brother, you are asking the wrong question. Deshaun's 2024 salary will account for just under 24% of the entire Browns team cap, which is absolutely ridiculous. After almost a full season's worth of games for the Browns, Deshaun is by no means living up to the hype. The Browns and their fans were optimistic and hoping that they would be getting that 2020 pre-allegations Deshaun, who admittedly was amazing. During the COVID season, Deshaun did lead the league in passing yards while actively throwing to lawn chairs on a depleted Texans roster. But since then, he just hasn't looked the same. Since joining the Browns, his completion percentage is down 8% less than it was in Houston, while his interception percentage has slightly gone up. But even with all of this, we did see a flash of vintage Deshaun in Week 10 when the Browns took on the Ravens in Baltimore. After an early pick six, Deshaun and the Browns rallied late to come back down 24-9 with a little over 17 minutes to go. Watson was flawless in the second half, getting it done both through the air and on the ground, and going a perfect 14 for 14 on passing attempts. And after leading a game-winning drive, the Browns had won, moved to 6-3, and all signs were trending up. But then...
With one tweet, Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson wanted to go season-ending surgery on a broken bone in his throwing shoulder. This led to so many conversations like, wow, what, how, when? He was just playing his best ball. Did the Browns think that this was potentially coming? How long ago did they know that they could be without Deshaun Watson after winning the game in the fashion that they did on Sunday?
Well, what happened was he hurt the shoulder in the second quarter, and he stayed in the game. So he played the rest of the game, 2.5 quarters, with a fractured shoulder and a high ankle sprain.
And like that, the Browns season was totally changed. The Browns were able to finish out the regular season by going 5-3, thanks in large part to Joe Flacco's career renaissance. And speaking of Joe Flacco, let's take a look at his stats from last year. So he finished the regular season with 1,616 passing yards, along with 13 passing touchdowns. And if we compare those stats to the man making $64 million a year, and all of a sudden, things look a little tricky here, don't they? In one less game, Flacco threw for 501 more yards than Watson and almost twice as many touchdowns. But what works out well for both Deshaun and Browns homers is that Flacco had a very rough game against the Texans in the wild card. If Flacco would have lit up Houston, won, and played a good game against the Ravens, the Browns more than likely would have re-signed him and been putting the press on Deshaun for all of 2024. The minute Watson would have thrown an interception, fans would be calling for Flacco. But Browns fans can rest easy knowing that the polarizing Watson will be their guy for this coming season. Well, unless Jameis has anything to say about it. And of course, beyond just Deshaun's inconsistent play, there are some other major factors holding the Browns back. First is that they play in the AFC North, which is objectively the toughest division in football. Playing the likes of TJ Watt is not fun for any quarterback, and unfortunately, Deshaun has to play him twice a year. It's just a brutal division filled with some of the hardest hitting defenders in the league, while also having some incredible QB play. So most divisional matchups will likely be long slugfests. And the second thing holding the Browns back is that Patrick Mahomes is still in the AFC. I know it sounds like I'm glazing, but we're at that point where unless he gets injured, you're gonna have to go through Mahomes and the Chiefs in the AFC playoffs. And this season, the Chiefs proved that it doesn't matter if they're at home or on the road. But as we look forward to the 2024 season, I still think there's a lot to be optimistic about. First is that defense. It's the cornerstone of this team, led by reigning DPOY Myles Garrett. It will be just as dominant as it was last year, and likely even better thanks to second-round DT Michael Hall Jr. out of Ohio State. I'm also pretty excited to see how Jerry Jeudy will do here with a fresh start in Cleveland. During his time in Denver, Jeudy did show flashes of greatness. However, he just wasn't able to reach his maximum potential due to poor QB play in Mile High. However, here in Cleveland, I'm expecting him to claim the Robin role to an aging Batman in Amari Cooper. Also, if I'm a Browns fan, I'm very hopeful that Njoku can pick off right where he left off last year. During the last 5 games of the Browns season, Njoku finished with 466 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns, and ultimately solidified himself as a top 5 tight end in the NFL. Flacco definitely loved getting Njoku the ball as much as possible, and he became a much larger part of the offense towards the end of the year. There's also a lot more to look forward to as a Browns fan for this season, especially when we take a look at their upcoming schedule. Almost all of America will be tuned into Fox on opening day to see the Browns take on the Cowboys at home. Throw Tom Brady on the call, and this could be an excellent way for the Browns to kick off their 2024 campaign. The rest of the Browns' schedule looks pretty good too. They have a couple of easier games towards the beginning of the year, like when they score off with the Commanders, who will likely be led by a struggling rookie, as well as a Raiders team with a lot of uncertainties going into the season. But the latter part of their schedule is about as hard as it gets. Their last 5 opponents consists of the Steelers, Chiefs, Bengals, Dolphins, and Ravens. So it will be an absolute gauntlet to end the year for Cleveland. I think the Browns and their fans should head into the 2024 season with a why not us mentality. Because really, why not the Browns? They have all the talent in the world. The excuses are over. It is time, now or never. Because if it's not this year, then it's probably not going to be for a long while. So Cleveland, why not us?